Hello there! What's going on, everyone? Today we're talking about Star Wars Armada commander possibilities for the Rebels and the Empire. Yes, I'm talking about Rebels and Empire, which may be a little surprising considering we are on the verge of the Clone Wars official reveal that should be happening later this month. But I think a lot of us are hoping that this doesn't mean the end of support for the Imperials and Rebel player support. We're hoping to get more stuff for that. So wanted to talk about some ideas on commanders because they have kind of gotten a lot of important commanders. But I wanted to bring to you guys a couple of commander ideas that I think would really work for the Rebels and Empire once Clone Wars gets to the point that they can now start doing more Imperial and Rebel expansions as well and kind of bring the game kind of up, unilaterally instead of just doing, because at the beginning it's going to be Clone Wars for a while. So before I come into the list, let me just do a little bit of admin stuff. I want to thank my patrons as well. If you're interested in becoming a patron, there are links for all of that in the description below. There's also links for other ways to support the channel, such as social media, as well as my Teespring shop, where we've got everything from t-shirts. So we got Armada, X-Wing, Legion shirts. We've also got some, gator necks or neck gaiters and face masks as well. We've got a lot of the Star Wars design stuff, like the Boba Fett one right here. You can see links for all that stuff. There's a lot of new ones. There's new stuff showing up all the time. So if you want to support the channel, there's plenty of ways to do it down below. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about the some of the different commanders that I think would definitely work. We've got a lot of commanders already, and I don't think we're going to really duplicate any. And that's just the thing, right? Like any new ship comes with new commanders. So there's been a lot of new stuff in both books and video games, as well as TV and film. And so some of these guys have led me to, hey, let's talk about this person, because this person would totally work. Let's start off with Admiral Versio. You may recognize Admiral Versio from Star Wars Battlefront 2. This is Iden Versio's father, and since Iden Versio is already in the game, he seems like a shoo-in. He's no problem with him fitting in canonically. He was promoted to Admiral after the Battle of Endor. He played a big part in the story mode of the game, as well as in Operation Cinder. I actually talked about this guy recently in the Armada Facebook group, speculating that maybe they could do him with some type of mutually assured destruction type of ability, such as I kind of speculated maybe he would allow all of your ships that take damage to also put a guaranteed damage on an opponent's ship. Like, I'm going to hurt us too, but I'm going to hurt you at the same time. Just a way to kind of force, maybe that last damage just to kill that MC-30 with admonition that was trying to skate away or something like that. He could be very useful for something like that. Like at any cost. Like, I will get you at any cost, even if I have to set fire to my own home planet, right? Because he was very, very loyal. So that could be a kind of a cool way for him to work. But then at the same time, here's a guy who also kind of formed Inferno Squad. So he might have something to do with special forces and stuff like that. Could work. Could definitely work. So, but yeah, he's a cool character. Plus, he's an admiral, and admirals kind of should be in charge of fleets, right? I mean, I guess. But then again, you've got General Hera Syndulla for the Rebels. Hera became a general in Star Wars Rebels, so she was an expert pilot, but and she is already in the game, so there's no problem in porting her over from a fighter squadron to having her being a commander. And it's hard to pit exactly where her abilities would lie. Does she help squadrons out? Because she certainly had a lot to do with squadrons. Her card in the game already helps squadrons. But is she more, general mission focused? Is she more interested in bringing the rebels together? Because she did a lot of work with Fulcrum. She did a lot of, story stuff towards bringing the rebels together. So she could, while she could be a more squadron-focused commander, I have a feeling she'll be more of a general strategy, maybe ships and bringing everybody together, more of a general use or all-comers type of commander that would be universally good. Because I feel like if you want Hera to help squadrons, well, you just bring Hera in the Ghost. Like, Hera can lead from the front in the Ghost, and I don't think you want to necessarily duplicate that when she's promoted to general. All right. She also, I will point out that she also has an acclimator called the Lodestar, which is in Alphabet Squadron, because she actually has a part to play in the Alphabet Squadron books as well, and so you do see her continuing to lead. So she's not just a general in Star Wars Rebels, but she maintains that rank for years and years to come. So Hera is, we're not going to see the last of Hera. Hera is also showing up in Star Wars Squadrons, and I'm sure once Star Wars Squadrons comes out, we're going to see a lot more characters, a lot more named characters that are going to be able to add to lists like this one and give us even more candidates for awesome characters to show up in Star Wars Armada. I mentioned Alphabet Squadron, so let's jump back to the Imperial side. We've got a guy named Soren Keys, really cool guy here from this particular set of books, and basically he's a kind of like in charge of Shadow Squadron. He's kind of like one of the main adversary type characters, old Imperial, but like written really well, where he's not like a really bad dude, but a really effective dude that's kind of doing some bad things, so like he's a very interesting character, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but he's a very interesting character. I feel like he could definitely either be squadron related, whether it's helping your own squadrons or maybe hurting your opponent's squadrons. I feel like he's probably going to be a good counter squadron type of person, right? Like if he's the adversary for Alphabet Squadron, right, in the books, then maybe there's a way for him to give your ships like a +1 die when attacking squadrons, or maybe all your squadrons get something with their, maybe they get to ignore keywords from other squadrons or something like that. I don't know exactly. He could be more of a general purpose guy as well, but I feel like some type of anti-squadron. But then at the same point, though, you don't want him necessarily to step on Sloane's toes too, because she's a squadron-based commander. But just because she's a squadron-based commander doesn't mean she has to be the only squadron-based commander we ever see. He could kind of approach that from more of the, anti-squadron. But then again, if you go up against a squadron-less build, is he now worthless? So it's kind of interesting. There's maybe, then again, they could also give him two different uses. He could have like, hey, your ships get a reroll when attacking a squadron, and your ships start with a token, or something like that. So you have something else. They could always do something kind of like that, which I think would be interesting. Going back to the Rebels, I'm going to throw out General Draven. General Draven, you saw him in Rogue One, and I think a lot of people expected we might have seen him by now. And there is definitely a thing, especially on the Rebel side, where you see all of these characters that are involved in all this space combat, that especially like with Hera, for example, that are generals. And it's weird because with my military background, you tend to associate admirals with a fleet and generals with ground forces. That's not 100% always a thing, but like, you can kind of make those associations, and that's not always the case with the Rebels. Like Hera was made a general, but I don't think she ever led a ground force. So interesting synergies you see there sometimes. But General Draven, I mean, just because he's a general and not necessarily an admiral, I think the only admirals we really get in the Rebels are Mon Calamari. So he could totally work though. And he had, the whole like secret, like, intel, hidden agendas and stuff like that. So maybe he could put a hit on a squad or on a certain ship or something like that, and you get victory points if you take it out. He could be kind of that kind of extra objective type of character. That would be pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. Maybe a totally different direction with him also. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he'd make a really cool, like tough, really mean guy you don't want to face. Speaking of generals, let's talk about General Veers. Look, we've already established that generals can lead fleets. All right, we've established that for the Rebels, and we've also established that for the Empire. Tag is already leading fleets. Right? What's to stop Veers? Veers is the only Imperial that never screwed up. Veers was the flawless Imperial. All right, he did his job perfectly. Veers should have been running the Empire. Like he's the only person. Look, man, the Empire is like their shtick was like to have leaders who were like overconfident and screwed up, and he was just like, no, we're gonna do this perfectly. Absolutely, we're not gonna hesitate. I'm not gonna be distracted. Laser focused. We're gonna do it. Veers could be a really, really effective dude if left in charge of probably any situation. Doesn't have to just be on the ground, right? I mean, we see him wearing ground armor, but we also saw him in a fleet uniform not like 5 minutes before this scene in Empire Strikes Back. So I think we could get Veers as a commander for Star Wars Armada. I think it totally works. I think it totally works. And he's so popular, you gotta have him, right? Now, what does he do? Since we kind of only see him do ground stuff, well, in addition to just being a success, I could see him dealing something maybe with boarding parties or laser targeting specific systems or something like that. I could see that possibly being a thing. And for the final entry in here, I'm going to go with another general for the rebels. You may love him, you may know him as the mustachio guy. We're going to go with General Antok Marik for Blue Squadron in Rogue One. This dude he's awesome, right? He decided to lead from the front, and he didn't have to fly with his, at least from what I read, he did not have to actually fly with him. He could have stayed back and been like, all right, Blue Squadron, go this way. But no, he's like, no, I'm leading from the front. Not too dissimilar from how Hera Syndulla tends to lead from the front. But yeah, this definitely, like, the rebels don't have that, like, that pure squadron guy like that. That's Sloan for them. Like, they have Sato, and that's, a different approach to squadrons. But this would be like a pure, like, leading those X-Wings, like, all squadrons with bomber gain surge to, or a critical hit that does something crazy, something like that, right? I have a feeling that would be, like, definitely the role for General Marik. I think that'd be really fun, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think would be great Rebel and Imperial commanders to have in Star Wars Armada. All right, you guys, stay tuned. If you are new here to the channel, and I do invite you to subscribe, go ahead and, if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And, I hope you enjoyed it. All right, and stay tuned for more Armada news, as well as lots of other tabletop games and Star Wars-related news. Also, some cool collectibles coming soon, too. And that's all I've got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons as well. You guys are amazing and help make this channel possible. Thank you so much. And as always, have a great day.